In today's video, we have some big contract news for AEW. One of their stars have re-signed a long-term contract. We're going to discuss those details. Also, speaking of contracts, Impact Wrestling just re-signed two of their top stars. Really good signings. And we got to talk about William Regal because AEW made a change to William Regal, and it sounds like he might have a new role. Very interesting stuff. Let's talk about it all in today's video. As always, if you want more, go ahead and click subscribe. So we're going to talk about Josh Alexander and Eddie Edwards because they both re-signed with Impact Wrestling. This is obviously good news for Impact. You know, we have seen time and time again, people have left Impact to go to WWE or AEW or whatnot. Now AEW is actually retaining their stars. A lot of people, especially in my comment section, have now become a little bit more receptive to what Impact has been doing. People are starting to watch these pay-per-view specials, you know, these weekly specials. Plus, you know, Impact Wrestling on Access TV every Thursday has been a pretty damn good show. So this is obviously good news for Impact. You know, Josh Alexander, you know, they have something special here, but you wouldn't know it's special if you haven't been watching, which is why I do recommend that everybody at least checks it out. Form an opinion for yourself. Don't just watch Impact because I'm telling you Impact is good. Watch Impact and see if it makes sense for you. I like to compare Impact as like the middle child of this family of pro wrestling, right? WWE and AEW are both so different, but Impact kind of takes things from both and puts it in their own program. You're going to see good storytelling. You're definitely going to see good wrestling. And the cool thing is they're not necessarily signing a whole bunch of big names. What they have been doing is making every one of their people feel special on television, and it's coming across pretty well. Yes, I understand the argument that production needs to improve. That will improve over time, but even now, recently, the quality has actually been a step up, so it's just something good to mention. Josh Alexander and Eddie Edwards both are staying with the company. Big plans for them both. All right, guys, I want to talk about William Regal because now William Regal is not listed as a coach for AEW. In fact, for whatever reason, AEW made the change to William Regal, and it's like he's an active wrestler. Now, I have no idea what is actually being planned here, but I did find this to be very interesting considering William Regal's age. Now, with that being said, we do know AEW did announce ahead of time that Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson, and Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. Jon Moxley, right? These two guys are going to be tag teaming tonight on Dynamite, March 9th, 2022. They will be accompanied by William Regal, so obviously AEW is starting to put something in motion with William Regal being by their side. Now it's going to be very interesting now that we're seeing that William Regal is listed as a wrestler. Is there any potential chance that this is going to be a trio? I mean, I love William Regal. And I think he kind of needs to have the Tully Blanchard approach to AEW. Tully Blanchard's not wrestling in matches. He might have one, but, you know, at the end of the day with Tully Blanchard, he's really just there to be, you know, the extra piece, the extra emphasis, the extra, you know, there's no puzzle that's complete without all of the pieces, and Tully Blanchard is that piece. I'm hoping William Regal is that for Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. Now, keep in mind with William Regal as well, there's always an opportunity for him to get involved. You know, we know that he's got the fist. You know, I'm just saying, you never know. Maybe the brass knuckles come back into play. It just really depends on whether or not AEW chooses to go heel or babyface here. I do think William Regal would be really awesome to see as a heel, just mainly because for the last few years in WWE, he's pretty much been the good guy, especially being general manager for NXT. So nonetheless, very cool stuff happening here. Don't know if this is an accident. Don't know if this is AEW literally making William Regal a wrestler. Who knows what the hell will happen, but I did find that to be interesting, and not a lot of people are talking about it. So just kind of keep that in mind. It is something that I hope more people kind of, you know, stay with and see what happens, because I don't want people to give up on this storyline. And I do get the feeling that if William Regal is a wrestler in AEW, people might lose a little bit of, you know, excitement for it. I'm excited either way, but I just want people to know that, like, whatever happens, let's actually let it play out. Let's not jump the gun, because we really don't know what is happening here. All right, guys, Miro has signed a 4-year contract extension with AEW. This came from Fightful Select today, March 9, 2022. 4-year extension will keep him with the company until at least the start of 2026. The deal was actually agreed upon in late 2021, but it didn't get signed for a little while after that. His original deal was actually slated to expire in the spring of this year after he joined the promotion in September 2020. So keep in mind, his original contract was only a 2-year contract, roughly. Now Miro is extending for 4 years. We don't really know too much in contracts with AEW because not everything is public knowledge. But, with the Bucks and Kenny, Hangman Page, some of these other contracts that have been picked up recently. We know Brian Cage just re-signed for 1 year. Miro, a lot of people always ask, what the hell is happening with Miro? Miro was taken off TV due to injury, but it doesn't mean AEW doesn't have plans for Miro. Now, I am hoping once Miro comes back from injury, I genuinely hope that AEW finds a way to move him to the main event slot. I do believe that. I think he was a fantastic TNT champion. I feel like Miro did fantastic work in WWE, but for whatever reason, all he has done in AEW is hold a TNT championship belt. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I want to make myself perfectly clear. I don't look at the TNT championship as a disgraceful title. But what I am saying is we know there is an obvious difference between the TNT Championship and the World Championship. AEW and the wrestlers can tell you these belts are the same. They're on par with each other. But at the end of the day, when you have AEW TNT Champion and AEW World Championship, you should know that one is technically better than the other. And Miro, Rusev, he didn't win the big one in WWE, and he hasn't technically won the big one in AEW. And I understand there's a lot of people who are in line for this belt. We know Adam Cole, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. There's a lot of people who want this belt. But if AEW really wants to show people that they are willing to make stars and they're going to make stars, I think putting the belt on Miro is a good decision. I'm not saying they have to rush into that, but they do have him for the next 4 years. I would like to see them do something special with Miro. Now, also, I do want to mention, because not a lot of people are talking about this, but there are rumors starting to float again on the internet. Nothing credible at the moment, but there are people talking about Lana possibly coming back into pro wrestling, in this case, joining Miro in AEW. Now, I find that to be very interesting, but again, these are just rumors that are floating around on Twitter. It's not coming from any credible source. I think it's also very easy to predict that perhaps Lana, who is actually married to Miro in real life, could actually accompany him in the company. But at the end of the day, who really knows what their plans are? I do think at some point it should happen. If you are going to have Miro come back from injury and you want to make him a big deal immediately, I do think having Lana accompany him is just ultimately the best idea. Now, also, one final thought. We don't know the financial terms of this agreement, but, one thing to keep in mind with Miro being signed for 4 years, getting this extension, it tells me that AEW is doing two things that is really good for Miro. First of all, they are probably taking good care of Miro financially. Obviously Miro experienced WWE. He knows what that's like. So I'm going to assume if you're going to lock yourself into a contract 4 years, the contract terms itself are probably really good, very competitive. And I would say they're more than fair for Miro and what he's interested in. But two, it just goes to show you how good AEW has built trust with their wrestlers, making them want to actually commit to a long-term contract. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time.